It all starts with a shot of an old wall clock hitting exactly 7 in the evening. Right on cue, the little wooden bird pops out to announce the time. In the dark, a guy picks up the phone and drops the memo that he's already on site. He confirms the gig and mentions it's 7 at night in the Korean time zone. And the job's already wrapped up because the target is lying eliminated on the floor in a totally messed up room. Looking at his own ruined uniform, the cleaner wonders what's the one actually annoying thing about this whole setup. Having to go back to being a high schooler, wearing threads with the name Ryu Kang, Min stitched on the chest. Holding a smoke in the sunset, the kid points out that this means he can't even vape in peace. Looking bored out of his mind, he complains the craving is hitting hard and he'd finish a whole pack if he could. Walking through an airport crowd, Kang Min mentions if he knew this was the vibe, he would have packed his bags full. He remembers back in the day even kids bought drinks, but now Korea seriously changed the public rules. Looking at the skyline, the kid realizes the country completely glowed up beyond recognition in these 10 years. It honestly looks like somebody dropped a massive cyberpunk city straight out of the future. On top of that, the streets are totally packed with flashy, luxury rides. He stares low, key impressed, as the door of a fancy sports car opens right in front of him. Kang Min notes that the standard of living, the environment, and even the way people act have totally leveled up. Watching a couple snap a selfie, he concludes that everything around him hits different now. But his attention shifts, and he wonders if even the ducks got supersized these days. He's actually staring, completely stunned, at a giant inflatable duck sitting in the middle of the plaza. Despite all these wild updates, the cherry blossom trees still look exactly the same. Just then, a hyped-up little kid runs by asking his mom if she saw the giant bird. The dad jokes that it made him crave stew and that he already booked a table at a restaurant. While the petals drift through the air, Kang Min watches the family doing their thing. He's mesmerized just taking in that totally peaceful scene. The little boy compares the falling petals to popcorn, but the dad quickly corrects the mix up. The man then warmly invites his kid to hit the movies and grab some actual popcorn. Hearing that, Kang Min lets out a sigh and gets super lost in his thoughts. The family chats happily about school and movies as they stroll together through the flowery park. MC keeps up his solo walk, just vibing with the local breeze. He just watches the flowers floating calmly right in front of him. Suddenly, a sound totally breaks his focus, leaving the kid super confused. Reaching into his jacket, Kang Min complains he can't catch a single break to enjoy his memories. It was an old school tracker going off non-stop, with a location blinking on the screen. Staring at the gadget, he decides it's unfortunately time to clock in for work. Later on, the pro stares at a sign warning it's illegal to sell smokes to anyone under 19 years old. The sun is already setting, lighting up all the vintage houses in that neighborhood. Spotting a traditional convenience store from afar, the kid jokes that they really put those signs way up high. Walking up to the shop, he feels like he finally found a spot where regular NPCs live. The inside of the place looks super dark and chill for a late afternoon. Sliding the heavy glass door open, Kang Min politely says excuse me before stepping in. He looks down the aisles and asks out loud if anyone's even working there. Since nobody replies, the teen announces he's just gonna chill and wait a bit. But he quickly reaches for the shelf, thinking about lighting up outside instead. Suddenly, an annoyed grumble comes straight from behind the counter. A boomer squatting down and eating instant noodles questions if a student should really be lighting up. The MC plays it cool instantly, claiming he's just running an errand for his dad. He then holds up a shiny, mysterious black card and innocently confirms that it's his old man's credit card. The shop owner glares at the kid with a super serious, suspicious look. Kang Min asks to split the payment into installments, but quickly apologizes for the trash joke. He explains he watched way too many K-dramas overseas and assumed the guy was your typical strict shop owner. Unbothered, the boomer replies he's far from it, since he also just got back from living abroad. Finding the reply amusing, the kid points out what a massive coincidence that is. Acting all cocky, he drops a taunt, saying there's one more crazy coincidence in the mix. Apparently, the target used to work in the exact same dirty business as him. Wasting zero time, Kang Min throws a straight punch right at the guy's face. But the old-timer dodges the heavy hit with absolutely absurd speed. He quickly connects the dots that the kid is a pro sent from overseas. So the boomer tosses his pot of hot noodles right in Kang Min's face, asking if he came to eliminate him. Even with his face completely messy and broth dripping down, the kid praises the veteran's reflexes. Grabbing the teen by the collar, the boomer accuses him of turning on the agency and wiping out his own crew. Taking the impact of the block, Kang Min is shoved backwards super hard. Taking advantage of the gap, the MC charges back in, stating he was sent to clear the target. The old guy is wildly agile and quickly backs up down the aisle to dodge the follow-up attack. The force of the move ends up knocking a bunch of tools and snacks all over the floor. Brawl. the boomer brings up the fancy card the kid was holding earlier. He explains that the syndicate hands out different colored cards depending on the contractor's tier. And out of all the colors, black is the absolute highest rank you can get. A super exclusive item, it's only handed out to the top tier pros in the game. Leaning on the shelves, the man admits he'd never even heard of someone actually having one. Kang Min cracks his knuckles proudly, saying it's a flex getting praised by a veteran like him. The target stares the kid down with a razor-sharp, ridiculously dangerous look. Brushing the mess off his clothes, the MC realizes the old guy is asking about his gear. He throws his hands up sarcastically and mentions airport security confiscated his whole loadout. Already pointing a piece at the kid, the man says he's incredibly disappointed by such a rookie mistake. Unfazed, Kang Min snaps the tip off a box cutter, reminding him that the first rule of the job is always having a tool. Keeping the blade hidden in his mouth, he locks eyes with the target. In a flash, the kid spits the piece of metal straight at the old man and recites rule number 2. Using the distraction, the MC leaps up for a total ambush from above. The strike comes down hard, and sparks literally fly through the air from the clash. The collision between the two sets off a massive bang inside the tiny convenience store. Backing away from the strike, the boomer demands to know what the point of all this is. He grabs Kang Min by the shirt tight, demanding to know why the kid turned on the syndicate. Calmly fixing his own tie, the young pro flips the question right back. He mentions that a veteran of his tier should have VI perks, so the betrayal makes zero sense. Hearing that, the target just looks down with a super heavy expression. The man then starts rambling about a simple can of food. Kang Min is super lost by the metaphor while listening to the guy vent about the endless grind. Stepping past the kid, the old-timer admits he felt like he was trapped living inside a tin can. Without any warning, he violently lunges at the MC with a knife. The kid manages to block the rush with insanely fast reflexes. The sheer impact of the blade perfectly slices one of the cans on the shelf right in half. Holding the split product, Kang Min sarcastically praises the veteran's deep metaphor. The MC asks if the boomer has been taking creative writing classes lately. Ignoring the jab, the man states the kid knows exactly what he's talking about. With that, the veteran unleashes an aggressive combo of slashes. He describes life in the syndicate as an absolute nightmare filled with obedient attack dogs. Blade clashes against Kang Min's guard while the old man says the grind never stops until it's game over. With his eyes burning with rage, the target drops his true motivation. The man delivers a heavy swing, screaming that the only thing he wanted was to break free. Caught off guard by the power, the kid is forced to slide back down the easel. The boomer gives zero breathing room, keeping up the pressure with short, calculated strikes. The air gets sliced up by the rapid swings that trash everything in their path. Analyzing the situation, Kang Min figures the old guy must have gained something from that trade-off. Nearby, the liquid from the chop can silently drips down the shelves. Taking a deep breath, the man confirms he only got one thing out of it. Looking completely devastated, he reveals the prize was his family. Staring at his own photo, the veteran explains the agency wiped them out after he bounced. Min listens to the whole tragic backstory, keeping an ice-cold, completely silent expression. The chat continues, revealing the agency tracks and spies on everyone's relatives. The boomer attacks again, explaining that's their twisted method to prevent any rebellion. Dodging the strike with a jump, the kid finishes the thought, saying they're basically held hostage. The old man's swing hits a bag of flour, setting off a huge white cloud in the air. On the counter, an apple stabbed by a knife perfectly matches the room's tense vibe. The fruit splits in two while the target complains that having regrets doesn't fix anything now. Wasting no time, Kang Min lands a devastating kick that sends his opponent flying backward. Looking down at him, the MC agrees that it's way too late to hit the undo button. The man's body crashes violently into the back shelves of the shop. Fall, the veteran vents that the price of his escape was the lives of the people he loved most. A framed picture shatters while Kang Min casually states the old guy actually got a bargain, leaving him stunned. Giving a menacing glare, the MC questions if he even had the guts to go through with his plan. Staring at the grounded veteran, Kang Min admits that people like him are seriously annoying. The kid starts explaining he used to hang out there a lot, and actually knew the owner. He recalls that on that specific day, the old guy looked like he was going to pass out at any second. Showing some concern, the agent says he suggested the man take a breather. The MC details how he asked why the guy didn't just close up shop to catch some Zeus. Right then, Kang Min points to the picture frame and reveals the direct answer he got back then. In the flashback, the target smiled and asked what would happen to his family if he just quit. Snapping back to the present, the kid remarks that it sounded like something a genuinely good dude would say. The panel shows the total fake-out of a devoted husband taking care of his sick wife and innocent kids. The MC walks backward, describing someone who threw his whole life away for a tiny convenience store. The dark, messed up scenery of the shop totally clashes with the happy little story he just told. Lying in the wreckage, the veteran is completely speechless after being called an idiot by the kid. Pure rage shows in Kang Min's eyes as he questions the real reason behind all those eliminations. Standing in the shadows, he finishes by saying that kind of weak excuse completely triggers him. With his face hidden in the dark, the MC trashes the whole idea that sacrificing yourself brings happiness. Gathering his strength, the veteran accuses the kid of also being a try-hard just to protect his own relatives. That taunt makes Kang Min instantly freeze mid-step in the aisle. The old man claims that's exactly why the kid lived his whole life as the syndicate's loyal lapdog. Glaring at the target, the pro warns he's going to drop some advice like a real veteran. Showing zero emotion, he coldly declares that a man's family is his actual life. Pure silence takes over the market as the two just stare each other down in the dim light. Refusing to take the L, the boomer rushes in for one last desperate attack against his opponent. Taking the force of the charge, Kang Min slides back while the man screams in pure frustration. The kid quickly backpedals to dodge the endless, aggressive swings. The blade comes down in a super dangerous cross slash, literally cutting the wind in half. Rocking a manic smile, the target concludes he'd rather go out fighting than live like an NPC. They both freeze in the exact same stance, locking in the final result of their deadly clash. Noticing a slice on his own neck, the old guy complains his blade just didn't have the reach. After landing the final blow, the MC agrees the tool was totally trash for the job. Losing a ton of red from his neck, the boomer can barely make a sound as he realizes it's game over. He stares at the tiny, stained blade stuck in his own hand, completely baffled about how it even got there. On the flip side, the MC holds the rest of the box cutter, listening to the old guy wonder how a tiny piece of metal took him out. Correcting the target with a dark tone, Kang Min clarifies the real question is how he pulled it off. The kid calmly explains the veteran should have paid way more attention to where he tossed the makeshift weapon at the start of the fight. With that, he drops rule number 3 of the job: never just chuck your gear randomly during a brawl. Turns out, that tiny blade he spat out earlier bounced perfectly off a falling knife mid-chaos. Totally drained, the man collapses to his knees, completely refusing to accept he got outplayed by a tiny scrap of metal. Bleeding out on the floor, the boomer asks if the kid was just trolling him the entire time, but the MC instantly denies it. Glancing at the family photo tossed on the floor, Kang Min admits he just wanted to see if there was some hidden lore behind the betrayal. He quickly follows up, saying he didn't take anything personally during their showdown. The target finally clocks the massive skill gap between them and regrets the kid acting so chill about it. Hearing the veteran say the agency sent a basic hitman for the job, the kid realizes there's a massive misunderstanding. Crouching next to the guy, he lifts the man's head and drops the bomb that he didn't fly to Korea just for him. Leaning right into the target's ear, Kang Min whispers that the trip definitely wasn't about him, giving the veteran one final shock. The old guy is completely mind-blown hearing that the kid only crashed his shop because it was on the way. Staring at the now lifeless guy, the MC reveals the real main target of this whole mission is someone incredibly special. So special, he's totally willing to put his own life on the line just to get the job done. Looking out at the red horizon, the kid thinks back to the veteran's desperate wish to finally be free. The messy knife left on the dirty floor perfectly sums up the brutal end to that runaway life. Propping the boomer's body against the counter, Kang Min genuinely hopes the guy found his permanent freedom. Meanwhile, the shop's old wall clock keeps ticking, hitting exactly 8 at night. The little wooden bird pops out again, marking the time in that dead silent room. The pro calmly strolls out onto the dark street and radios in that the side quest is officially cleared. He lights up a smoke on the sidewalk, joking that it wasn't a bad warm-up considering it was just an NPC target. Watching the sky turn super orange, the kid decides it's time to bounce. Walking along the edge of a building, he gets ready to lock in 100% on the actual person he came for. From way up high, the MC looks over the glowing city, trying to figure out exactly where his main objective is hiding. Checking out his ruined clothes, he groans that the job won't be hard, but he's gonna have to get his uniform fixed again. With the wind in his face, the kid shifts his focus to tomorrow, knowing exactly what his next move is. The next morning, the start date for the contract finally arrives at Anal High School. The massive blue sign at the entrance confirms this is where the next phase of the mission kicks off. Inside one of the classrooms, all the students are already at their desks waiting for the bell to ring. A group of girls is just casually chatting while the MC mentally plans to speedrun the job on the down low, like always. But one of the girls suddenly looks up, distracted by the sound of the door sliding open. The teacher stops writing on the board as Kang Min strolls into the room, instantly grabbing everyone's attention. Standing right in front of the whole class, he casually announces he doesn't have his student ID yet. Pointing straight to the back of the room, the new kid asks to bum a smoke, deciding he's gonna wipe out the target right then and there. The story then flashes back 1 month, showing a massive, crazy expensive mansion owned by a congressman in the Angelos area. Walking through the courtyard with a piece in his hand, the kid admits the current situation is pretty wild even for him. Totally surrounded by armed guards, he's confused why a private house needs this level of tryhard security. Pointing his blaster at the owner, the pro politely asks the guy to just walk himself to his own grave. The suit guy is Manuel Santos, the heavy-hitting congressman of that district, and he glares at the intruder dead serious. Showing zero fear of the threat, the politician just bluntly agrees to the ridiculous demand. Hugging his wife and kid on the floor, he warns the kid that first, he'll have to answer for messing with his family. The child is crying his eyes out, clinging to the mom, who's trying to calm the shaking kid down right before a massive shootout. Staring him down, the congressman demands safe passage for the two of them, claiming they have zero to do with his drama. The MC hears the plea to let the hostages go first, just letting out a skeptical hum while sizing up the room. Shocking literally everyone there, Kang Min calmly lowers his weapon and agrees to let the woman and kid walk away safely. As the family scrambles to hide behind the politician, the agent explains he never touches anyone except the main target. Flashing a confident smirk, he declares that's his one unbreakable rule for taking on any gig. Hearing that, the politician gives a super relieved smile, saying it's really good to know that little detail. A split second later, the congressman completely flips the script and screams at all his guards to open fire on the intruder. Kang Min frowns instantly, super disappointed to see the guy mistook his principles for total rookie weakness. Gripping his own piece, Manuel admits he was actually terrified because he thought the kid was one of those legendary Bathala agents. The scene cuts to the outside of a massive, super flashy building right in the city center, known as the Bathala Casino Hotel. Inside, pro dealers are handing out cards in a room strictly designed to drain rich guests' wallets through high-stakes bets. At least on the surface, the giant gold hall packed with gaming tables looks like just another busy, high-end casino. But way in the back, there's a VIP room where a very special table is set up strictly for exclusive clients. Chilling in a luxury armchair, a mysterious guy comments that you need serious confidence to accept a hit request so openly. The blonde dealer keeps it totally professional, replying that the casino's real business operates way outside the government's radar. The shady client is impressed by the flex and figures the place's reputation as the ultimate underworld hub definitely isn't capped. The woman steps up to the table and guarantees the target can be erased, pointing out he wouldn't be there if he wasn't 100% sure. With a slick hand motion, she spreads a deck of cards perfectly across the green felt, bragging that they only work with top-tier talent. The panel shows dozens of flawlessly aligned cards, representing all the lethal options the syndicate has on standby. The employee gestures to the deck and calmly asks the client to pick which card is going to handle the hit. The guy scans the table, confirming he already knows the drill. The agent's skill level matches the card's value. He adjusts his tie in total silence, carefully doing the math on which option guarantees an absolute flawless victory. Without hesitating, the client slides a card across the felt and announces he's picking the legendary Ace of Spades for the job. The dealer looks at his choice and praises his taste, confirming that's an ultra-premium card in their lineup. Right after, she makes sure to remind him that since it's the absolute best unit available, the price tag is going to be astronomically high. Without blinking, the mysterious guy orders a colossal mountain of cash to be dropped on the floor, leaving the woman totally shook. The blonde takes the winning card while the client demands the job be done instantly, asking where the agent is right now. The story snaps back to the ruined room in the Angelos mansion, bringing up the MC's rule about never tagging innocent NPCs. Chilling in the middle of a bunch of downed guards, Kang Min finally lights his smoke and adds that he only hits back if he's attacked first. Surrounded by the wiped-out security, the pro reminds the politician that he was the one who called for the first shot. Right then, the target's wife is bawling her eyes out, holding her little kid in the middle of all that chaos. Even with the mess, the kid drops a genuine apology for the husband getting taken out. Staring at the congressman's body, the MC promises that one day he'll pay for all the dirt he's done. Time skips and the scene cuts straight back to a massive high school courtyard in Korea. In the classroom, the teacher tells the students he doesn't have the new kid's ID badge yet. Zero shame, Min walks into the room asking if anyone's got a spare smoke. The old teacher is completely mind-blown seeing the kid have the audacity to crash the class like that. Ticked off by the disrespect, the teacher demands to know who he is, and the pro quickly introduces himself as the transfer student. With that, the kid just casually says what's up to the class like nothing weird just happened. After writing on the chalkboard, he reveals his name is Ryu Kang Min, totally adopting the fake identity of the Ace of Spades. He quickly makes up a story about moving from the Daejeon area, keeping his real Bathala roots a total secret. In the agent's head, playing high schooler in Seoul is the ultimate stealth build to take out his new mark. He enrolled as an average NPC student specifically to avoid drawing any aggro during the mission. After all, in a country with such insane public security, pulling off a flashy hit would be basically impossible. Checking out a really pretty girl in class, the kid jokes to himself that this must have been what his parents thought too. Another sketchy-looking classmate yawns super loud while the MC decides he just wants to enjoy the high school vibes. Playing Mr. Nice Guy, the MC asks everyone to get along before he inevitably has to wipe out his target. The flashback jumps back again to the syndicate's crazy luxurious underground casino. The blonde employee explains to the client that the target is a Korean national currently living in Seoul. Thinking about the location, the suit guy agrees, but points out there's one tiny little issue. The man mentions the gig has a pretty tricky catch, leaving the dealer visibly confused. The massive problem with the hit is that they literally have no clue who the target actually is. The woman can't comprehend what kind of absolute nonsense this is for such an expensive hit request. Sliding a file across the table, the guy reveals the only piece of intel they have is the person's name. And there are absolutely zero other personal details or stats to help track them down. Seeing the practically blank sheet of paper, the blonde realizes there's no picture or address anywhere. Back in the present, Kang Min stares at the student roster, hyping himself up over the challenge of working with just a name. Far from being annoyed, the kid thinks this total lack of lore is actually a super fun puzzle to solve. Not wanting to waste time, the agent had already done his own deep dive before classes even started. Walking down the halls, the kid confirms this is the exact homeroom where the target is supposed to be enrolled. The MC stops in front of a specific door, hands shoved deep in his uniform pockets. Looking at the class sign, he complains the biggest issue is that the target literally ghosted the school. Determined to fix that, the pro pushes the door open slowly, already plotting his next move. Right off the bat, he runs into a squad of bullies trapping some poor kid on the floor near the desks. The new guy's eyes instantly lock onto an empty desk in the back, confirming the dude he's hunting isn't there. Unfazed, the MC steps up to the Methiods, asking why they're blocking the spawn point. One of the punks gets triggered instantly, grabbing Kang Min by the collar and crying about his tone. Using the close range, the agent lands a brutal kick straight into the bully's stomach. The impact sends the big guy flying backward, crashing hard into the classroom desks. Totally ignoring the chaos he just started, the new kid drops a joke about the door being broken. The pretty girl from earlier notices him walk in and is completely stunned by his crazy confidence. Chilling in the middle of the mess, the agent hears the NPCs whispering that he's the new transfer kid. The girl walks up looking curious and asks why a guy with that much guts is hanging out solo. Playing it totally cool, the MC just replies that he literally has 0 friends at this new school. During the break in the schoolyard, the pro decides it's time to kick off Plan B. Hiding in a corner, he finally manages to take a drag of his much-needed smoke to distress. The kid exhales, feeling super relieved while crouching next to the dumpsters behind the building. Suddenly, the pretty girl pops up, joking that he's smoking like it's the greatest thing on earth. She squats down next to him and starts chatting, asking if the new kid is really from out of town. The tattooed bully from earlier also joins the circle, hyping up Kang Min's gutsy move. Forming a little squad at recess, the MC focuses on building up his fake high schooler persona so it looks legit. The big guy immediately starts telling crazy party and fight stories to make the new kid feel like part of the gang. The girl gets super hyped about rumors that the new kid smashed a karaoke machine and started a massive brawl. Covering up his actual track record, the agent downplays it and pushes the bad boy reputation back onto the bully. Right then, the tattooed dude holds out his hand, calling a truce and asking to be solid bros from now on. The MC accepts the handshake instantly, thinking to himself that these are his very first mutuals in Korea. Late in the afternoon, the squad walks down the school steps together, soaking in the red sunset lighting. They stroll down the sidewalk chatting non-stop about their post-school plans. Kang Min asks if they're heading straight to cram school, and the bully groans that the van is already outside waiting. Complaining hard about the study grind, the tattooed kid admits he has 0 motivation to go to extra classes. He drags his feet toward the yellow school bus, saying it feels like he's being kidnapped against his will. The MC watches the bus drive off into the distance, standing all alone on the busy sidewalk. The quiet street makes the agent think deeply about what his new bro just complained about. The sight of a dark van driving away triggers a flashback to when he was crying out for his parents. In a super dark memory, a tiny, terrified kid is huddled up crying in the pitch black of a shipping container. A deep voice orders someone to toss the kid on a boat right away, scaring little Kang Min half to death. The kid just hugs his knees, totally clueless about what's going down in that nightmare scenario. Shady guys decide the kid's fate, ordering him to be shipped straight to Angelos. A snapping back to reality, the MC feels awful about everything he lost because of that messed up event in his past. He walks alone, thinking that if none of that glitchy stuff happened, his normal high school life would be 100% real. Out of nowhere, the pretty girl bumps hard into his back, totally interrupting his deep thoughts. Holding tight to his arm so she doesn't faceplant. She laughs it off, saying she almost tripped over her own feet. The two keep walking down the block together, joking about how they introduced themselves earlier today. The girl asks if he's heading straight home, and the agent nods, saying he's completely wiped from day one. She looks closely at the MC and lets out a sound that screams pure trouble. She immediately drops a super suggestive hint, asking if he just wants to go somewhere to chill. Now inside a room flooded with pink Lee lights, Kang Min is actually impressed by how good the AC feels. The kid gets slightly panicked when she starts taking off her jacket, talking about how soft the bed is. Standing far from the door, the girl confirms the vibe while he just sits there awkwardly waiting. Pointing to a next-gen console, she tells him he can watch TV or game as much as he wants. Then she points over to a shelf stacked with snacks just in case he gets the munchies. The student slowly crawls closer, clearly radiating major ulterior motives. Flipping her hair back, she suggests he could try something else really tasty. Letting her clothes hit the floor, she drops down to her underwear and tells the new kid to pick his player. The girl crawls up onto the bed and asks where he wants to start the game. The MC starts sweating bullets, trying to form a coherent sentence while his brain blue screens over what's happening. Suddenly, a bunch of guys burst into the room, recording everything on their phones, revealing the whole thing was a setup to cancel him. The bullies are cracking up aggressively, having the time of their lives with this humiliating prank. Shoving a camera in Kang Min's face, one of them mocks him, saying the new kid was already peeing his pants from fear. Fixing her top, the girl is crying from laughing so hard, asking the guys if her acting was Oscar-worthy. The MC asks what the point of all this is, but the main bully clacks back, saying that's a his line. Grabbing the new kid by the neck, the tattooed guy uses his full government name and drops his hometown. The punk mentions a mutual from the kid's old school. He brings up rumors that the new guy used to fetch drinks for everyone like a total lapdog. The vibe in the room gets super heavy as the bully gets ready to expose the fake-out. The punk explains that this mutual actually has liver issues since childhood and literally can't drink a drop. Laughing at the trap, the big guy reveals he called the dude up and found out he didn't even know who the MC was. Pacing around the room, the squad leader figures the new kid just wanted to reroll his stats and pretend to be a tough guy. Kang Min throws his hands up, faking a surrender, listening to the guy mock him for pulling a rookie move like smoking in class. Without warning, the bully slaps the pro across the face super hard, calling him a moron. Taking the hit without flinching, the kid is told that from now on, he's the class's official gopher. The punk steps in even closer, deciding to pick up the beatdown right where he left off. Getting totally unhinged, the leader grabs the MC's shirt with both hands. With a violent yank, the bully rips the new kid's clothes, wanting to test how much HP he actually has. The tattooed guy's face drops instantly, absolutely shook by what he just uncovered. Freaking out, the bully backs up, dropping the torn shirt in the middle of the room. The shredded clothes show the MC's back is covered in something completely wild. Kang Min's mind drifts back to the underground casino, where he was staring at that super vague contract. The syndicate employee pulls the file back, getting ready to close the deal. Pushing the paper away, the agent tells her to cancel the job without a second thought. When asked why, he points out there are way too many NPCs with that exact name in Korea, and going after all of them is brain rot. The kid thinks about how crazy risky it would be to just fly out there blind. Looking at the plane tickets, he remembers the strict rule to head straight back to base after any clear. The MC feels the heavy weight of duty, knowing the memories of his relatives are the only thing keeping him locked to the agency. Looking kinda depressed, the young pro admits he's terrified of making a fatal mistake if his desperation to see them takes over. A Joker card sits on the table while he thinks about how the syndicate ruthlessly hunts down anyone who rage quits. But the blonde dealer cuts his thoughts off, swearing he doesn't need to stress about that at all. She gets totally serious and warns him that this gig hits entirely different from anything he's run before. Standing in front of the syndicate's logo, she drops the bomb that the loot for this run is ultra rare. The employee offers permanent freedom and a clean break from the deadly hitman agency forever. A revolver is tossed onto the files, basically sealing the ultimate promise. The kid is shook, repeating the word freedom like it's some kind of impossible glitch. Keeping her cool, the blonde guarantees he won't ever have to come back if the target gets erased. Back in the sketchy motel room, the bully stutters in pure terror, staring at the boss, level threat, in front of him. The girl and the rest of the squad are frozen in fear, their brains unable to process the situation. With his shirt ripped open, the pro flexes an absolutely shredded physique covered in brutal, hardcore scars. Smiling like an absolute menace, the MC announces that skipping this boss fight is no longer an option. He brings up his golden rule about never tagging innocent NPCs unless they swing first, totally justifying his stealth strategy. Looking down at the punks, Kang Min states out loud that this is his absolute, unbreakable law. Moving like a blur, the agent lands a devastating punch that completely flattens one of the bullies' faces. Riding the momentum, he lands a brutal kick that launches another kid across the room. The girl watches the absolute massacre, completely horrified by the new kid's unfair stats. Another punk screams in panic as he takes a messy hit right in the middle of the chaos. Standing over the wiped-out squad, the MC adjusts his clothes, complaining it was super hard to nerf his own strength. The tattooed leader sweats bullets and goes into full panic mode when the new kid calls next. Slowly rolling up his sleeves, Kang Min hits him with a demonic glare and tells him they're gonna play another round. The lore flashes back 6 years, showing the Bethala Agency's private, abandoned island. Massive speakers all over the place announce that 7 minutes of the trial are already up. The siren echoes across the dead beach, warning that there are only 3 minutes left until time's up. Down at the bottom of the ocean, the voiceover mocks the recruit, asking if he's just gonna float there and turn into shark bait. The panel shows young Kang Min sinking, chained to a heavy metal grate. Gripping the chains, the kid desperately tries to hold his breath underwater. The kid's wrists pull hard against the iron cuffs as the timer hits the 8th minute of the nightmare training. The speakers taunt that the capillaries in his lungs are probably starting to pop from the pressure. The chill surface of the ocean completely hides the lethal struggle going on down below. Suddenly, the heavy steel chains are violently ripped straight out of the water. A tiny octopus flops onto the sand as the kid finally manages to gasp for a massive breath of air. Face down on the beach, the recruit pants completely drained, complaining he almost turned into an all. You can eat buffet for the fish. Lying alone on that massive island, the kid talks to his late grandma, letting her know her grandson isn't logging off just yet. Still breathing heavy, the young recruit tries to get his stamina back after nearly drowning. Right then, he hears a blaster get cocked right at the back of his head and gets totally confused. The blonde instructor aims the piece at the kid, coldly pointing out he missed the time limit by exactly 1 minute. Realizing it's about to be game over, the kid plays with the little octopus on his shoulder, asking his grandma to let him pick how he goes out. Suddenly, a gunshot echoes, scaring off the birds while a blade goes flying at max speed. The crime syndicate's black flag whips heavily in the island's strong wind. Taking a direct hit, the guy in shades groans as he feels his own hand get completely pierced. With his hand pinned right to the flagpole, the instructor mocks the word, grandma, with absolute disrespect. But he quickly shifts to praising the kid for using random drops to escape, saying that's exactly how a real mercenary thinks. Getting right in the kid's face, the guy asks if that desperate toss was his final move before getting wiped out. Holding the octopus, the recruit asks if the boomer thinks his brain is made of squid mush, pointing out that was basic logic. He calmly explains that the first round in the chamber is always a blank just to prevent accidental friendly fire. Popping the mag out, the instructor admits the logic checks out and adds that from here on, the ammo is 100% real. But Kang Min already has another piece pointed straight at the guy's face, wanting to test if the loot is actually legit. Another shot scares the seagulls away, making his upgrade to a pro hitman official. Back to the present, night quietly falls over the neon signs of the city's Karok bars. Inside the trashed room, the bullies are still on the floor, battered after the absolute carry, serving as the perfect excuse for the brawl. The kids glued to the wall are shaking in pure terror, just witnessing the transfer students' broken stats. Getting ready to keep grinding, the agent cracks his knuckles like it's just another Tuesday. Sighing out of pure boredom, the MC tries to fix his shirt sleeves and notices his buttons got deleted. Gulping hard, one of the bullies sweats bullets at the slightest movement from the new kid. Squatting on the motel floor, Kang Min looks for the missing pieces, trying to figure out if they actually snapped off the fabric. He remembers the exact frame when the squad leader ripped his clothes with zero chill, trying to humiliate him on stream. The narrator drops the tip that the first rule of a brawl is making sure it never looks like a totally one-sided bullying session. With that, the kid picks up a heavy fire extinguisher, complaining loudly that he literally just bought this outfit. Absolutely terrified, the punk screams, wondering why the new kid cares so much about his drip at a time like this. With a heavy swing, Kang Min smashes the cylinder into the bully, letting him know he's about to unlock the hospital gown skin. Trying to back up, another guy sprays white foam at him while flexing that he has premium health insurance. But the agent emerges from the fog looking like an absolute demon, reminding him that he doesn't have any coverage at all. The guy stutters seeing the new kid drop the metal weapon, panicking because he thinks it's time for hands. Grabbing the bully by the face, the MC decides to stick to raw strength just to cement his status as the new boss. Giving zero openings, he lands a brutal knee strike, promising to make sure the guy gets a fat payout from that insurance. Right after, the pro grabs the leader from behind and literally yeets him into the room's furniture. The girl and the last standing punk are frozen in terror, watching the absolute wipeout happen right in front of them. The guy takes the full impact, face-planting into the bed covers, officially cementing Ryu Kang Min as a massive threat. Shaking non-stop, the girl holds her cracked phone while the squad groans all around her. The last kid sweats bullets, looking at the wrecked room, but Kang Min just walks up saying he only has one question. The student lets out a high-pitched scream while the guy nervously tries to argue that hitting girls is totally cancelled. Ignoring the useless chatter, the MC locks onto his main quest, demanding intel on the fifth member of their little squad. He drops the target's description, pointing out he's a held-back senior from another class who literally never shows up. Walking slowly toward the duo, Kang Min demands the guy's location, putting the bully entirely on the defensive. Looking super serious, the new kid flips the question, asking if it's suddenly against the rules to ask where the guy is. The punk's face melts into tears of pure fear as he feels the new kid's killer aura up close. Driven purely by survival instinct, he turns his back on the boss and books it for the hallway, screaming his head off. Almost at the exit, the coward yells that he's gonna get beat up even if he snitches, so he risks a desperate dash. The wooden door slams into the wall, creating a massive bang that echoes through the whole place. Slowly, the hinges start to squeak as the door swings back inward. Standing tall, the MC genuinely promises he won't lay a finger on him if he just comes back. Once in the cramped bathroom, the bully slows down, muttering how epic it is that he managed to juke the monster. Glancing back at the empty hallway, the guy freezes, completely clueless about where the new kid teleported to in a split second. Instantly, the agent spawns right behind him, choking the coward with the shower hose and sarcastically praising his escape skills. Choking on the metal cord, the student thrashes around crying, randomly trauma, dumping about his dream of winning movie awards. Kang Min yanks the hose hard, snapping the shower fixture straight into the fake actor's shoulder. By the insane pain, the kid totally loses focus, babbling nonsense about having top-tier dramatic acting chops. Taking advantage of the stun, the new kid delivers a massive kick straight out of an action movie. The force of the hit launches the guy, completely shattering the glass door in a wildly aggressive finish. The busted pipe shoots a continuous stream of water, soaking all the glass shards scattered over the dark tiles. Lying in the wreckage, the guy passes out while the agent's system focuses on planting pure terror into his prey. In the next room, the girl grips her hair and screams, completely consumed by the horror of what the new guy is doing. Now running down the sidewalk, the girl cries in absolute panic while the guy carrying her tries to calculate if renting scooters will give them a speed buff. Casually strolling through the trashed room, the MCC complains this whole mess could have been skipped if the kid just answered the question. The last remaining guy cowers against the wall, slapping his own legs and praying for a speed boost. Just then, a heavy tattooed hand grabs the doorknob, totally blocking the only exit. The massive bully from earlier glares into the room, dropping his lore about being a top-tier prospect in national MMA. He proudly flexes that he was the absolute favorite to sweep the tournaments and farm easy money. Squeezing his bruised fist, the punk admits he let all that epic glory slip right through his fingers. But a quick mental flashback of a crushed skull reveals the big guy actually got banned from the ring for fatally injuring a rival. Ice cold as always, the agent stares him down, listening to the whole villain monologue with zero concern. Hyped up by the violent vibe, the fighter cracks his knuckles, claiming it's been an eternity since he had a decent match. Looking completely bored, Kang Min listens to the new guy scream his actual name with unhinged rage. The big guy rips off his shirt and rushes in for a head-on clash, calling for a deathmatch until one of them gets deleted. As the brawl explodes, the furniture in the motel room next door starts rattling from the insane wall impacts. Chilling on the edge of his bed, the guy next door complains about the heavy thuds and tells his partner she's being way too loud. Blushing red, the girl stutters a messy excuse, swearing her boyfriend was the one annoyed by her noise. Annoyed by her partner's NPC energy, she covers up and demands he actually do something instead of just listening. The guy next door clicks his tongue, annoyed, and decides the best revenge is to match their toxic energy. Sitting on the bed, he tells his girlfriend that from now on, they're gonna make a ton of noise too. On the other side of the drywall, the big guy gets absolutely launched into the wall with brutal force. Hearing the muffled boom, the neighbor thinks his genius plan is working and brags about phase 4 of his strategy. Kang Min steps right on the tattooed punk's neck, easily pinning the squad leader down like it's nothing. Standing in the dust cloud, the MC complains about how trash modern building materials are. Totally unfazed, the kid drops the fact that taking out the boss immediately makes the rest of the mob lose their minds. The student frantically tries to open the room door, but the handle is totally busted. Spawning like a terrifying shadow right behind the duo, the new kid coldly announces they've reached the final stage. Terrified by his stealth drop, the coward yells at the girl to push the door instead of pull, begging for mercy. The girl collapses to the floor, crying her eyes out, promising to do literally anything just to avoid getting hit. Watching their terror peak, the MC offers a helping hand and admits he never actually planned to hit them. Squatting next to the shaking girl, he claims he just needs a totally normal favor, explaining this is the meta way to get people on your side. Grabbing her face in a super intimidating way, Min points out that out of everyone here, only she can pull this off. Stressed out of her mind, the girl stutters in agreement, and the narrator notes this strat turns the target into a totally obedient NPC. Standing up slowly, the MC decides it's time to initiate phase 1 of his actual main quest. So he asks the girl straight up about that held back senior she name dropped earlier. The pro needs to know exactly what kind of guy this mystery student is as the night takes over the city. The scene cuts to the dark, dead silent stairwell of a sketchy, abandoned-looking commercial building. Inside one of the rooms, massive metal racks are packed with humming servers and tech gear. Staring at his phone screen, one of the mobsters hypes up how fast the money is rolling in, updating his crew on the massive loot. Celebrating the W, he mentions that just one single video already beat their entire revenue from last year. Chilling in his chair, the gang leader agrees that fresh content is always the best meta, whether it's fish or people. The underling glazes the boss, agreeing with the analogy and pointing out how fancy the plate looks. Leaning over the table full of food, the guy claims the aesthetic makes everything look even more fire. Checking his own phone, the boss drops the stat that the download count for that specific file is skyrocketing at an insane rate. The panel zooms in on the app running a sketchy underground site that's basically crashing from all the traffic. Watching the stream from the motel room where the bullies are getting wrecked, the leader cracks up, saying society is totally doomed. He laughs hysterically, finding it wild that people are actually paying good money to watch some shirtless dude rage out solo. A massive sashimi platter sits on the table while the boss thanks the cursed video for funding their expensive feast. The mobster flexes that they are literally printing money while hiding out in a crumbling basement. But one of the goons gets paranoid, warning that all this heavy traffic is going to trigger the cops' radar. Showing zero stress, the boss smirks and tells his bro to stop tweaking over nothing. The leader points to the servers and explains they pulled the feed through an uncrackable encrypted channel. Right then, the mobster grabs a piece of sushi with his chopsticks, hyping up how bulletproof their hideout is. Toasting with the squad, the boss guarantees that not even the director of intelligence could track their IP. Instantly, heavy knocks echo on the metal door, completely killing the gang's party vibe. The three crooks tense up, staring at the entrance, wondering how anyone managed to dox their secret base. Dead silence fills the room as the rusty doorknob slowly starts turning from the outside. Trying to keep up a tough guy act, the boss raises his glass, challenging the intruder to try their luck. As soon as the door swings open, the goon aggressively demands to know who the random NPC standing there is. The newcomer, rocking a jacket with a rabbit graphic, asks to confirm if this is the spot hosting the video. Chill steps, the blonde kid strolls right into the crime syndicate's main operation room. Glaring with cold, merciless eyes, the new kid repeats the question, wanting to be 100% sure he found the right targets. Sitting comfortably in the back, the boss checks out the kid's dyed hair and figures he's definitely not a cop. Soon the whole squad of thugs circles the blonde kid, and one of them immediately asks which rival guild he belongs to. The mobsters pressure the intruder, trying to guess if he was sent by the Singil or Huxiok crew. Totally ignoring their trash talk, the kid demands straight up that they take the stream offline. One of the big guys laughs at the kid's audacity and tells him to unzip his pants to get humiliated first. Reaching out, the thug yells that the kid is going to wet himself in about 2 seconds. Backing his bro up, the bald goon laughs out loud, warning that the office is going to smell terrible after this prank. But with ridiculous speed, the goon takes a wildly violent hit straight to the face, sending red flying everywhere. Shaking from head to toe, the downed partner grabs his messed up ear, going straight into shock. The thug collapses to the floor screaming, clutching his injury, while the rest of his crew freezes in place. Terrified by the loud bang, the bald guy claims his ears are ringing and asks where that massive sound came from. Sweating bullets from panic, the crook feels the cold metal barrel press right against his face amid the chaos. A split second later, the blonde kid fires a brutal shot right through the big guy's knee without a single drop of hesitation. The thud of the mobster hitting the carpet echoes through the room, while the rest of the gang backs up in pure terror. Stuttering uncontrollably, the other underling realizes way too late that the first loud noise was actually a gunshot. Seeing the intruder casually holding the black piece, the chubby guy screams, warning the boss about the massive threat. Blowing the thin smoke away from the barrel with a red, stained face, the blonde repeats his demand to delete the file. On the other side of the feast, the boss starts panicking, trying to gaslight himself into thinking the shot wasn't real. Pulling a suicidal move, another goon charges in full of rage, demanding the kid hand over the hardware right now. Without even flinching, the shooter fires point blank straight into the brave guy's shoulder. With completely dead eyes, the kid demands again that they nuke the content, totally ignoring the downed guy at his feet. Running around the office trying to escape the madness, another member yells that the piece is just a modded toy. In a useless attempt to calm the squad down, he screams that nobody needs to be scared of a little prop. Completely losing his mind, the leader points his finger and orders all the remaining guys to jump the shooter at once. The kid in the graphic jacket shows zero signs of backing down, ready to wipe out the entire server. In an insane, lethal rapid-fire combo, 3 gang members take fatal hits to the head and chest simultaneously. The heavy bodies hit the floor with a dull thud that fills the basement, totally drowning out any talking. The camera pans out showing the shooter in the middle of the room, completely surrounded by the wrecked gang. Without even dropping his posture, the kid turns his back on the mess and casually walks the other way. He calmly approaches a gray safe bolted to the wall, checking out the small green keypad. Cowering on the floor, clutching his bag of cash, the boss is in utter disbelief that a simple tool could clear a room that fast. Cornered and sweating cold, the boss holds his piece to his own head, debating if he should literally call the cops on himself. But the blonde kid presses his blaster right against the mobster's neck, coldly demanding he delete the video. He drops the warning that this is his one and only chance if he doesn't want to end up like the deleted NPCs on the floor. Shaking with fear, the gang leader tries to negotiate, confirming if the only issue is just wiping that one file. The guy points frantically at the server and tells the kid to just yank the hard drive and trash it however he wants. Totally lost on why this is happening, the boss asks why the kid went this hard, wondering if the guy in the video paid for a hit. The shooter looks down super confused and asks what on earth the guy is talking about. Right then, he spots a phone on the table showing the thumbnail of the video featuring 2 guys. The blonde reads the caption and gets absolutely triggered, realizing hey was tagged as the little kid in the clip. Sensing the intruder's rage spiking, the mobster stammers nervously, trying to excuse it by saying the guy on screen really does look short. Blinded by anger, the MC points the weapon again, cursing the guy out and yelling that the only thing small was on the screen. A loud bang echoes through the hideout, blowing everything away, while the fish head on the plate perfectly sums up the carnage. The night rolls on quietly, covering all the empty houses and streets in the neighborhood. Total silence hangs outside a large, traditional 2-story house. Inside, a pitch-black, empty bedroom just waits for its owner to log back in. Only the anal high school uniform hangs on a rack, lit up by the weak glow of a street lamp. The student outfit stays untouched in the dark corner of the room late into the night. Down below, a sketchy, poorly lit staircase leads straight into the house's secret basement. On the table, parts of a disassembled rifle are scattered next to a nameplate reading Jang Hyan, Su. Sitting in the shadows, Ryu Kang, Min calmly puts the hardware together, thinking about how real pieces are totally banned in Korea. He perfectly snaps the heavy barrel into place, concluding that running a loadout like this over here is super complicated. The kid locks the metal parts together, remembering that 99% of the stuff you find in the city are just modded toys. Resting the stock against his shoulder, the pro checks the scope and complains that the market is flooded with knockoffs. Keeping his finger steady on the trigger, he pulls it and hears the mechanical click of the air chamber. Looking through the lens, the MC coldly confirms that whatever he's holding is 100% the real deal. The next morning, the new kid is squatting in the schoolyard, bluntly asking for a smoke. All bruised up from last night, the cowardly student rushes to hand the pack straight to the new boss. Kang Min pops it in his mouth like a pro and immediately asks for a lighter. Instantly, the tattooed bully, now covered in bandages, sparks the flame for the MC like an absolute lapdog. Watching the former tough guys holding ashtrays for him, the agent ironically thinks about how his childhood innocence is totally gone. Right then, the dark-haired girl walks up looking anxious, asking why he grouped the whole squad up. Blowing out smoke, the new kid stares at her and says they need to finish the chat they started last night. He presses the girl, demanding more intel on that held-back senior from the other class who keeps ghosting. Suddenly, other classmates walk by and give the weird, isolated group in the corner some serious side eye. One of the guys mutters loudly, asking why the vibe around them is so incredibly toxic and weird. The girl ignores the nosy NPCs and swallows hard, clearly super uncomfy with the questions about the missing guy. Noticing her hesitation, the MC asks in a dark tone if something bad happened to their mutual. The grim memory of wiped out bodies in a wrecked basement highlights the massive red flags around the topic. The messy face of Jang Hyun-soo flashes in his mind, proving the missing guy is a wildly unhinged monster. The scene cuts to an arcade shooting game announcing that the round is officially over. Inspecting the plastic rifle, the girl gives a super nerdy breakdown, confirming the bolt cycle and trigger pull are flawless. After checking the gear, she lets out a massive sigh, looking incredibly disappointed with the machine. The girl complains the scope calibration is pure trash and admits she kind of wants to rip the fake piece apart. Giving her a weird look, Kang Min asks if she did a tour in the military and warns her that this nerd talk is getting annoying. Super frustrated, the student points at the prize shelf, confessing she really wanted the top-tier loot. Instantly, the pro grabs one of the plastic blasters, teasingly asking if she seriously wanted that plushie. Through a flashback, the real Jang Hyun-soo is shown holding the exact same plastic piece, telling her to hold up. In the memory, the girl praises his stance, and the guy laughs, lying that it's his first time ever shooting. His perfect shots start nailing the dead center of every single red target on the machine. Blown away by his aimbot skills, the girl excitedly asks if the senior is really going to unlock the grand prize. The fire rate speeds up, dropping all the plates at once while the high score just keeps climbing. Back in the day, those same bullies watch in awe, hyping him up and saying he's got National Army level talent. With a perfect score, Hyun-soo tosses the buff action figure back, telling the girl to catch her loot. The student hugs the plushie tight and thanks him in a super cutesy way, calling the older guy affectionately. Clinging to the blonde guy's arm, the girl turns up the charm, swearing she's definitely gonna pay him back someday. Surprised by how forward she is, the senior just freezes, blinking his eyes innocently. Thinking back to that moment on the street, the friends used to spin around pretending to be elephants, and Hyun-soo joked about not breaking their trunks. Back to the present in the arcade, Kang Min mutters to himself, totally clueless about what kind of reward she was offering. Locked in on the game, the MC cocks the plastic blaster with a smooth, practical motion. Flexing massive confidence, he gets ready to shoot, claiming it's all just a matter of grinding practice. On the weekend, the student walks down the sidewalk alone near the station, complaining that this whole thing is annoying AF. Rocking her short hair down, the girl wears a black leather jacket, looking completely fed up. Walking through the crowd, she wonders why the new kid is so obsessed with the senior when she was trying to forget him forever. Popping up right behind her, Kang Min interrupts her thoughts, asking why she's mumbling to herself in public. Walking with his hands in his pockets, the MC jokes around, asking if she's dealing with some kind of schizophrenia. Noticing his jacket, the girl is surprised by the match, pointing out they're basically wearing the same fit. The pro just clicks his tongue impatiently, and the girl demands to know why he forced her to hang out on a weekend. Dropping the chill act instantly, the new kid hits her with a totally serious, super intimidating glare. The student flinches, remembering the deal they made in the middle of that wrecked motel room. The memory of his heavy hand gripping her face rushes back, along with his demand for a normal favor. But the MC just shoves his phone screen in her face, super hyped, asking if this neighborhood is actually the most trending spot in Seoul. With his hand still pocketed, the girl repeats out loud the ridiculously basic request, playing tour guide for a country bumpkin. A massive wave of relief hits the girl when she realizes the huge threat was literally just a basic sightseeing side quest. She exhales and drops her shoulders, since his insane strength during the brawl made her think the favor was going to be super sketchy. Watching Kang Min admire random street pigeons, the student mentally concludes the terrifying new guy is actually just a massive dork. Giving a super cocky look, the MC asks if she wants to grab food first, basically assuming she's already totally into him. Walking down the busy streets, the girl asks if there's any specific food he's craving in the city. Hearing that, Kang Min pulls out his phone all hyped, saying he just found an absolutely insane spot on the internet. The new kid instantly flips the phone and takes a super close-up pic of her face, leaving her pretty startled by the random flash. But slightly further back in the alley, a sketchy, hooded figure is secretly stalking them and snapping hidden photos. Now inside a fancy, super traditional restaurant, the pro admits the place definitely looks famous. But he freaks out seeing a massive table loaded with 80 different dishes, joking if they're pretending to be royalty. Leaning on the table looking completely unamused, the girl instantly figures out he's never been on a date because his taste is garbage. A second later, she realizes she was a bit too savage and apologizes for being brutally honest. Looking down, looking super depressed, Kang Min confesses he's actually never had real friends in his entire life. Staring at the feast, the kid adds that he literally doesn't know what normal NPC eat. Hearing this random trauma dump, the girl's eyes go wide, and she actually feels a little bad for the guy's sad lore. Putting a piece of meat in her bowl, he listens to her totally ruin the dramatic vibe by complaining that this whole chat is annoying. She tells the kid to shut up and eat, whining that she was on a diet and this massive feast is gonna wreck her progress. Ignoring her rant, the MC stuffs his face, totally blown away by the flavor, and asks if this isn't the best thing she's ever tasted. Pointing his phone again, the kid jokes that the iguana tempura is fire, leaving her completely lost. With a quick move, Kang Min wipes the corner of her mouth and takes another candid pic while she's distracted. As the hours pass, the fake couple ends up at a super chill, petting zoo during the sunny afternoon. Suddenly, a totally stressed out alpaca lets out a bizarre scream at them, completely killing the peaceful vibe. While the animal spits on the new kid, who thinks the sound is hilarious, the girl feeds a different one, claiming they're super sweet. Keeping the joke going, the kid starts recording the crazy animal while the girl asks if he didn't notice its unhinged personality. Laughing non-stop at the ridiculous setup, the MC makes sure to record a vlog of the whole fun hangout with her. Late afternoon hits, and the fake couple's next stop is a massive modern art gallery downtown. Strolling through the place, Kang Min tries to sound like an intellectual, talking about how modern art is incredibly deep. But he's completely speechless when he reads the exhibit plaque and realizes the masterpiece is literally just a bathroom urinal. The girl asks if he also felt that powerful emotion, and he jokes it feels exactly like the adrenaline of a toilet flush button. Snapping a mirror selfie, he checks the gallery's name and realizes they accidentally walked into a plumbing supply expo. Now it's nighttime, and the tour continues down the glowing streets right in front of a massive, luxury dyer store. Once again, the camera flash goes off, catching the girl walking casually slightly ahead of him on the sidewalk. Catching on to the stalking, she turns around demanding to know when he's gonna stop filming, and he just says he'll stop when he feels like it. Shoving the phone in his pocket, the agent mentions his storage is full, and the girl is shook considering how much space he had. The new kid talks back with zero shame, saying he recorded enough to preserve that national treasure. Face forever. Night fully takes over the sky as they enjoy the cool breeze walking through a super crowded plaza. The guy thanks her for the awesome Seoul tour, and the student looks relieved that she actually managed to keep him happy. But Kang Min randomly stops walking, mentioning it would be a total waste if they just logged off and went home like this. He points at a carnival shooting booth in the park and suggests they play one last round before heading back. The girl is stunned by the choice of location, totally caught off guard by the insane coincidence with her past. The wooden target with colored rings is just waiting for the next players to test their RNG at the booth. The memory of the real senior hitting every single shot comes flooding back to her right then. With that, she stares at the new kid, super curious to see how he handles the exact same challenge her old crush did. The booth owner hypes up the game, promising that landing just 1 out of 10 shots wins a cute plushie. Laughing, the boomer teases that it'd be the perfect gift for his girlfriend, but warns that the quest isn't that easy. Holding the cork gun, Kang Min checks the stats and instantly realizes the scope calibration is absolute garbage. The vendor flexes, swearing that even a former special ops guy would struggle to land a single hit here. But the MC claps back, asking if the old guy wants to bet, since anyone with eyes can see the machine is rigged. Locked in on the top-tier prizes, Kang Min proposes that if he hits every target, he takes the giant plushie home. Handing over the cash for the round, he warns the owner that if he wins, the boomer owes him a bonus favor. Super confident in his scam, the old guy just laughs, saying trying hard here is completely pointless. But with ridiculous speed, the new kid rapid fires at the targets, dropping every single wooden plate without missing once. The vendor's eyes pop out of his head and he starts sweating, totally shook by what just happened at his stall. Leaning on the counter, the man can't process the kid's aimbot skills and yells in shock, confirming he cleared the board. While the girl wonders if he's literally the world's best hitman, Kang Min hands her the piece, claiming it's his first time playing. Adjusting her stance, he teaches her how to hold the stock steady and helps her aim right at the target. Hiding in the shadows, the stalker snaps pics of their romantic moment, celebrating that he figured out the new kid's strategy for getting close to targets. The night rolls on quietly, covering the buildings and residential streets after their massive, tiring day out. Heading home, the MC carries the giant pufferfish plushie, complaining loudly that the thing is ugly AF. The student holds the weird prize, wondering how that was considered tier 1 loot, but admits the texture is kinda addictive. Walking in silence for a bit, the vibe between them randomly gets a lot heavier and more serious on the street. Stopping in her tracks, she finally uses his real name, super confused about how weird things have gotten. Showing her phone screen, the girl asks if the huge favor he wanted was literally just for her to post a pic of them together. Giving an awkward little laugh, the student tries to hide how surprised she is by such a harmless request. Once inside the apartment elevator, she accuses the kid of using the Seoul tour as an excuse to pull cheap pickup artist moves. The girl remembers him wiping her mouth and taking all those candid shots, acting like he wasn't paying attention. Staring at the post, she asks if the new kid seriously thought flashing a nice guy smile would make her fall for him. Rubbing the back of his neck, looking embarrassed, Kang Min mutters, feeling the vibe get super awkward really fast. But honestly, the girl hides her blushing face behind the giant plushie, admitting she thought the whole thing was the cutest, most annoying flex ever. Giving into her curiosity, her finger swipes the screen to check out the next photo in the camera roll. The gallery keeps showing aesthetic memories of their hangout at the art gallery and the busy city streets. With every swipe, the cheesy romantic tension just levels up in the girl's head, who is totally catching feelings now. Suddenly, the elevator's chime cuts the silence, announcing the car finally hit the 5th floor. The robot voice calls out the doors opening while the girl is still completely glued to her social media feed. But pure instinct makes her snap her head up when she feels a ridiculously heavy aura right in front of her. A bald guy with a nasty scowl is standing right there, scaring the absolute life out of them as they step out. The dark, totally empty hallway only has the creepy glow of a single red bulb on the ceiling. The shock completely paralyzes her, and the ugly plushie drops to the floor, marking the brutal end of their little date. A flashback hits on a dark night. The senior tells Ha, Yan it's super sketchy to be out this late alone. But out of nowhere, he aggressively pins her against the wall while the girl tries to process what's happening. Now inside her pitch black apartment, the punk walks down the hall saying the place is giving him nostalgia. The guy grabs the girl's neck in a super threatening way, pointing out it's his first time back since that night. The scene jumps to a wild drinking party in the middle of a room, with the whole bully squad raising their cups. The crew is yelling, getting hyped, and doing cheers non-stop. Right then, one of the punks complains the alcohol is weak like sugar water and suggests mixing it with rice. Sitting on the floor, the host tells them to drop the clown act, warning she'll end them if they throw up in there. The squad pressures her to chug her cup while the senior tries to chill her out, promising to keep the boys in check. Drinking with the guy, Yaon admits she trusts him since he's a bit older. Eating up the compliment, the punk smoothly replies that she can 100% trust him. Time passes, and a mountain of empty bottles starts stacking up by the bedroom window. The whole gang of bullies ends up blacked out and snoring, scattered all over the living room floor. Completely defeated by the booze, the student also crashes hard, facing the wall on her own bed. Right then, the senior creeps closer, tapping the girl to make sure she's out. He whispers her name, cutting through the dead silence of the dark room. The senior tries to verify if she's fully logged off after all those drinks. The girl stays in bed, totally unresponsive and out cold. Breathing heavily, the punk leans over her, completely taken over by his toxic intentions. Suddenly, a high-pitched scream of pure terror echoes through the empty street at 3 a.m. Back to reality in the hallway, the new kid coughs violently and complains his whole life was ruined after getting cancelled. He claims he got expelled and was entirely ghosted by his own family. Crouched on the floor, the kid blames Yeon for the whole mess while she tries to defend herself. Giving him a death glare full of hate, the girl calls the guy a disgusting criminal. The MC freezes for a second, acting like he has no clue what she's talking about. Instantly, he flips his expression and yells, offended, claiming the girl was the one throwing herself at him first. The new guy accuses her of initiating all the physical touch and flirting, promising to return favors. He keeps throwing it in her face that she used pet names and hyped up his posture. Pointing at his phone, the kid swears the student was the one throwing herself at him. The girl glares right back with her own phone in hand, saying she literally used the same strat today. The guy pulls up their selfie and accuses her of posting it purely for clout. Flashing an unhinged smile, he guesses her whole master plan was just to make someone jealous. The girl's eyes go wide, completely horrified by the bizarre turn this chat just took. The MC keeps up the act, claiming she played at the exact same shooting booth just to get his attention. Clenching her fists, the girl feels her blood literally boiling at every word of this absolute delusion. With a quick swing, she smacks the plushie right into the guy's face, calling him a total psycho. Staggering back, the new kid tells her to go touch grass and seek some serious therapy. Startled, the girl pulls a piece and fires, blowing the plushie to bits in mid-air. With dead eyes, the student drops the lore that she's been recording herself training solo ever since that trauma. She aims the shaking weapon, stating she spent all this time just waiting for their rematch. Gripping the hardware with both hands, she warns him that she's finally going to show off her stats. The MC gives a manic grin, saying he's incredibly hyped to see it. But without warning, the girl lets out a terrified scream as the guy rushes her. Quick jump, The pro grabs her face and covers her mouth to mute the sound. Pinning the girl down in the hall, the new kid stares into the dark, saying he didn't expect company this early. A shadowy figure on the stairs comments that sending a scout to grab intel actually paid off big time. The scene cuts to a gross, empty alley where the secret surveillance was going down. Goons check their phones, confirming the uploads of the fake couple's candid pics. The real senior scrolls through the photos taken from a distance all day long. Consumed by obsession, the criminal curses out the new kid with absolute hatred. He mutters furiously, remembering how the girl used to glaze him back at the old school. His brain replays the MC's order, forcing the girl to take romantic selfies so she wouldn't get hit. Not understanding the strat, the psycho scratches his head, realizing the new kid doesn't even seem to actually like hi, Yan. Staring up at the building, he wonders what the point of all that fake acting was. Back in the tense hallway, the pro finally drops the original target's full government name. The girl collapses in pure shock while Kang Min mocks how easily his childish trap worked. The real Jang Hein Su steps out of the shadows, asking how desperate the MC must be. The criminal stays on guard, analyzing his opponent from up close. Taunting him, the pro asks if the guy is her boyfriend or something. Sighing impatiently, the senior takes a step forward, already gripping a black pistol. The MC flashes a challenging smile, saying everything finally makes total sense. Instantly, the target shoots, but the new kid dodges the graze and dashes in with crazy speed. The senior is shook by the aggressive rush with zero warning. Aiming his own piece right at his rival's face, Kang Min states he's taking the girl when the guy's eliminated. The agent's finger squeezes the trigger, ready to delete the threat right there in the hall. Feeding on the tension, the criminal steps up, asking if he's really that obsessed with hey, Yan. The action pauses for a split second inside the dark, quiet apartment. The senior proposes a basic shootout duel, where the winner claims the girl as the ultimate prize. He makes sure to flex the power of his own piece before the duel starts. With killer eyes, the psycho guarantees his blaster finishes the job with one clean shot. The scene jumps forward showing Kang Min cursing after seeing a leaked video on his feed. He's furious, wondering who leaked the clip, but admits the camera angle totally carried his visuals. Stepping out of the shower in just a robe, the kid figures the tech repair guy was the one who leaked it. Towel drying his hair, the MC swears he's gonna put a round through the leaker's head. But a suit guy sitting in a chair points a weapon at him, noting the video is already viral worldwide. The intruder demands to know who the guy is and what he wants, while the agent reveals the kid's video is blowing up on forums too. The man explains the senior corrects and practices his own moves solo just to try and pick up girls. Right then, the criminal is completely shook, finding out his whole weird training routine was caught on a hidden bedroom cam. With a cynical smirk, the agent comments that giving yourself a performance review in bed is top-tier cringe. Staring at the blaster in his hand, the glasses guy concludes the kid has some extremely dangerous hardware. He points at the target, saying this makes him the perfect asset to stir up massive public chaos. The agent's gaze turns dark as he calls out to the kid in the shadows. Furious about the situation, Jang Hein Su grabs the intruder by the collar and demands his name. During the scuffle, the empty camera stays locked on the messy bed, recording the whole room. A small silver pin with a geometric logo catches the light, exposing the shady organization known as Network. Keeping totally chill, the suit guy reveals he's with a group focused on farming massive cash in the underworld. Refusing to back down, the guy cocks his piece and says his actual job is recruiting fresh talent exactly like him. He then hypes up the senior's potential, saying he watched everything closely because those actions could generate major clout. With the barrel near his face, the glasses guy drops the official invite for the punk to join their crew. Back in the current hallway, the MC taunts the senior, asking if he seriously wants the girl that bad. Min suggests betting on a shootout, declaring the last man standing gets the student as the final prize. The pro aims his own blaster firmly, dropping a warning about a lethal feature on his gear. With a menacing glare, he swears the piece wipes out anyone with one solid hit. The kid's face stays ice cold and focused, waiting for the enemy to make a move in the dark. Flashing a sarcastic smirk, the new kid taunts his rival again, testing if he's got the guts. Terrified by the pressure, the senior accepts the challenge and tells the enemy to just pull the trigger already. Seizing on the hesitation, the MC mocks him, asking if the criminal is scared now that he actually has to shoot. Showing zero mercy, the new kid fires a shot straight at the target's head. The sudden impact blasts the punk violently backward as he screams in pain. Grabbing his bruised face, he quickly realizes something is super off about the hit. On the flip side, the MC stares at his own piece, totally confused to find it's only loaded with rubber rounds. Rubbing his forehead, the senior complains the loot box promised real ammo, but the delivery was a massive scam. Slowly, the criminal gets up, admitting he already suspected the hardware was totally fake. Kang Min grumbles, irritated, trying to process the absolute fail of his own gear. Holding the knockoff piece, the senior admits this whole situation is getting incredibly awkward. Furious about the humiliation, the criminal unloads an aggressive spray of bullets down the hall. The MC dodges the projectiles easily, commenting that the enemy's attack pattern is way too predictable. Taking advantage of the slow fire rate, the pro dashes at max speed to close the gap. Curious, he checks out the enemy's gear and teasingly asks if it's literally a toy gun. A stray bullet hits a robot plushie in the head, while the new kid jokes that children shouldn't play with things like that. Analyzing the grouping of the shots, the MC claims that gear is pro-level work and accuses the kid of not crafting it himself. Ignoring the deduction, the punk tells the intruder to shut up and just get eliminated. The new kid even praises the scope's calibration as a masterpiece, bringing up all the crimes pulled off with that revolver. Cocking the fake weapon, the criminal listens to the new kid's shocked question about how he hasn't spent a single day in jail. With a twisted smile, the newcomer demands an honest answer from his rival about who's really carrying him. Pointing the piece upward, he asks straight up if that shady guild called Network is backing him. The Syndicate's silver logo flashes in the MC's mind, confirming it's a massive, shadowy crime ring in Korea. This guild uses students spread all over the country, operating as a decentralized network of sleeper cells. All that fragmented structure makes tracking down the actual core of the gang practically impossible. Ultimately, the massive proxy system makes finding the admins basically an untouchable myth in the underworld. Despite this insane security wall, the pro promises himself he's going to track every last one of them down. The target's intel sits on a table inside a super classified folder. Spotting a special memo about Network in the restricted file, the kid figures his final boss is hiding in there. The org chart shows the central guild leader is the main boss he has to take out no matter what. Interrupting his rival's distraction in the hall, the new kid rushes in fast, telling him to focus on the PvP. He corners the senior, asking coldly if he looks like a joke to be ignored. Panicking, Jang Hein, Su sprays shots everywhere while the MC reminds him he tracked him through early network intel. In the pro's mind, it doesn't matter if the blonde guy thinks his girl got stolen or feels threatened, because he's basically just a stepping stone for the real quest. Backflipping smoothly over the gunfire, Kang Min declares the enemy will be his first bridge to getting the W. With insane agility, the agent lands perfectly on the floor after the acrobatics. In a quick move, he snatches up a soda that was chilling in the rubble. The senior keeps firing frantically, trying to hit the opponent hiding in the shadows. Aiming down sights, the criminal declares with pure hate that the new kid is going to get wiped out anyway. Catching the enemy off guard, the MC chucks the can with max force straight at the shooter's face. The metal object explodes violently against the punk's head, spraying soda absolutely everywhere. With his face bruised and covered in sticky liquid, the blonde kid groans, trying to wipe his eyes. Taking the perfect opening, the new kid lands a brutal melee strike with his piece right on the guy's head. The hit is so heavy it literally shatters one of the loose tiles in the hallway floor. Right then, the snap of an aluminum pull tab breaks the silence as the MC asks if the punk still wants to keep going. Taking a chill sip of his soda, the pro calls the defeated rival a punk. Dumped on the floor with 0 HP left, the senior tries to cope, saying he isn't the bad guy here. Clutching his busted arm, he says in a weak voice that he's not the actual villain of this story. The scene cuts to a dark, empty bedroom lit only by the faint glow from the window at night. Sitting on the floor of his own room, the punk stares at his phone, spamming the student's name like an absolute creep. The screen shows a wall of ignored texts where he desperately begged for attention and just a single voice note. Completely destroyed by the ghosting, the kid's face twists into insane rage as he curses the whole situation. The painful memory of the girl smiling and hyping up his chill vibe loops in his sick mind. Gripping the revolver tight, the guy remembers the day she said shooting was a massive flex. Surrounded by a literal armory scattered on the floor, he cries curled up, complaining he grinded all that training for nothing. Looking totally depressed, the senior claims he's just a dude who got his heart broken by his crush. Drinking his soda like it's nothing, Kang Min sarcastically agrees the guy is the real victim here, calling that a very unique take. With that, the senior gets up from the floor, aiming his piece again, and starts rambling about love. Completely losing the plot, the criminal points the blaster forward and screams at the top of his lungs that he loves the girl. Trying to justify himself to her, the punk swears it isn't just a crush, but 100% real feelings. The student stays huddled on the floor, listening to the guy promise his love is totally pure and legit. She looks up slightly, hearing the psycho's desperate confession that he's absolutely obsessed with her. With tears running down his face, the big guy swears on his life that his feelings are real. Watching this pathetic cutscene play out, the MC reaches into his jacket while the target declares that if he can't have her, The senior points his piece, screaming that literally no one else gets to be with her either. Terrified of getting cancelled permanently, Hayan quickly dives behind an appliance in the hall. Kang Min tells him to hold up a sec, but the criminal cries that his run is already ruined anyway. Totally consumed by madness, the kid curses the girl and suggests they get married in their next respawn. Without hesitating another frame, the psycho pulls the trigger and unloads an insane spray of bullets. The projectiles fly hard, completely shattering the glass window in that floor's hallway. A bunch of empty shells pop into the air while the echo of the shots rings out in the dark. The metal casings keep dropping and bouncing on the tile floor even after the mag is totally empty. Once the ammo is gone, the criminal's slide locks back with a dry, hollow click. Panning hard after his rage quit moment, the senior just stands there holding two completely empty blasters. Leaning against the bullet machine, Candle and jokes, minks that Korean home appliances are genuinely top tier. The agent peeks over the fridge along with the student. Impressed the metal was buff enough to tank the bullets. Huddled close by, Hayan just stares at the new kid's focused face after they almost got wiped out. But the shooter is the one who breaks the silence, furiously asking who the hell the new guy actually is. The punk is fuming that some random guy would dive into a hail of bullets just to save a girl he barely knows. Faced with the question, the MC keeps his face completely blank and doesn't drop a single word. Digging through his memory, the psycho connects the dots and assumes there's some deep lore behind this white knight move. The shooter starts stuttering, saying it's impossible and refusing to believe his own wild headcanon. He points at the trashed room, implying the two of them were doing sketchy stuff in there before everything blew up. Totally disgusted by his own imagination, the kid screams, demanding someone debunk this madness right now. With a terrifying smirk, Min taunts his enemy, asking if he really wants the truth. Fueling the rival's mental breakdown, the new kid hugs the girl and jokes he's too shy to say out loud what they were up to. Blinded by rage and jealousy, the big guy curses out the MC and charges at him in a totally desperate rush. He screams he's gonna eliminate his rival, but suddenly gets hit hard by something dropping from above, smashing everything around. The criminal's eyes go wide, completely lost as the debris crashes down right in front of him. Frozen in place, the kid lets out a confused groan, realizing something just went horribly wrong. The pro's boot stumps down hard, splashing red, while the target lets out a sharp, guttural scream of absolute agony. Grabbing his own ruined hand, the shooter panics, screaming that he literally just lost a finger. Flashing a sadistic smile, the new kid shushes him with a finger to his lips, sarcastically warning that the neighbors are gonna complain about the noise. Crushed by pure terror, the kid tries to hold back tears while hearing the threat that he'll lose the whole hand if he doesn't pipe down. Kang Min raises a legit piece and starts casually rattling off the exact model and heavy caliber of his hardware. Shaking uncontrollably, the punk listens to the dark warning that what's coming out of this barrel isn't rubber. Aiming right at the enemy's head, the MC coldly announces he's switching to live ammo now. Completely broken by fear, the psycho stammers, finally processing how incredibly bad his situation is. Staring down the dark barrel, the criminal cries out in pure panic, begging for his life so he doesn't get a game over right there. Showing absolutely zero pity, the pro pulls the trigger, setting off a heavy metallic click. The shooter dives to the floor like a terrified animal and starts crawling down the hall, screaming that he wants to keep playing. Watching the pathetic retreat, the new kid mutters that it took the guy way too long to figure out running was the only option. Silence takes back the kitchen of the wrecked apartment, right after the desperate screaming fades out. Adjusting his hoodie to stay low, the agent comments the target really should have started booking it earlier. The chase moves on to the brightly lit, super crowded streets of downtown during the night. Along the way, a bunch of neon signs fight for attention, including a colorful ad for a weeb-made keffi. A worker dressed as a catgirl maid is handing out flyers on the sidewalk, trying to pull foot traffic into the shop. Not watching where he's going, the runaway comes flying through and slams hard into the cosplaying worker. Annoyed by the roadblock, the kid shoves the girl aggressively, cursing out the worker who lets out a startled meow. Sweating cold and totally out of breath, the punk complains to himself, wondering how long this cursed marathon is gonna last. His rapid footsteps slap the pavement as he desperately tries to lose the monster tracking him like a homing missile. But the MC spawns right behind him like a ghost, while the criminal screams, asking when he's gonna drop the aggro. The runner glances over his shoulder trying to talk his way out, but freezes, instantly realizing the pro is right on his heels. In the middle of a massive crosswalk packed with cars and NPCs, the big guy yells in despair, asking what he even did to deserve this. He tries to play the victim card again, claiming the student totally manipulated him and that he's the real oppressed one here. Breaking down in tears, the psycho screams at the top of his lungs, furious that he's the only one taking the L at the end of the day. Casually scrolling on his phone, the new kid mocks the crying fit, impressed the guy still has so much stamina left. He mentions that thanks to this crazy sprint, they actually reached the drop zone way faster than planned. The phone screen shows it's synced to a massive digital billboard on the street, and the pro decides it's time to start the stream. A sudden flash lights up the whole plaza, making the runaway squint from the crazy bright ad screen. The punk opens his eyes slowly, absolutely baffled by what just popped up on the giant monitor. All around them, the crowd of NPC stops walking and starts pointing up, totally weirded out by the broadcast. People on the street whisper, super confused by the sketchy clip, debating if it's a promo for a urology clinic or something. The psycho freezes in the middle of the street when he hears a random dude point out that the thing in the video looks incredibly small. Shaking non-stop, the kid goes into deep denial, sweating bullets over the ultimate public humiliation. The kid totally loses his grip on reality and screams to the whole plaza that the thing on screen is absolutely not small. Trying to salvage his rep in the middle of the square, he tries to excuse the fail by claiming he was just having an off day. Hidden in his hood's shadows, Kang Min holds back a laugh, having the time of his life watching his enemy's total meltdown. With tears in his eyes, the target turns around and accuses the new guy of being the one who leaked his cringe video. The MC holds up his phone showing the live feed connection, while the kid stutters in pure shock, confirming the docs. A second later, the crosswalk signal flips to flashing green, giving the massive crowd the green light to move. Then the pedestrian light flips to flashing red, warning everyone to stop. Sprinting across the lane like a madman, the senior screams, demanding they take that video down immediately. But suddenly, the kid covers his face and lets out a gasp of pure shock. Unable to react in time, he gets absolutely leveled by a truck flying through the intersection. The crowd around them is completely paralyzed, watching the insane scene go down. Up on the giant billboard, the clip keeps playing while the voiceover stays totally confused about the vibe. The punk's face shines over the avenue right as someone comments that it was the most embarrassing game over ever. Panic sweeps through the NPCs on the sidewalk, screaming to check if the kid just got wiped out. Hidden under his hood, Kang Min looks back, admitting to himself that getting isekai'd by a truck was definitely not the plan. Flashing a slight smirk, the pro just accepts the tragic RNG result without a single drop of guilt. Seen from above, traffic turns into an absolute nightmare while pedestrians figure he had it coming but call for an ambulance anyway. The sun comes up, completely lighting up the anal high school campus. In the hallways, rumors start spreading like wildfire among the class. One of the guys is totally shook, spilling the tea that Jang Hyun-soo got literally truck cunned. Sitting on his desk, a classmate confirms the drama, saying the crash is already trending everywhere online. Flashing the viral clip, the student jokes that the senior just became the most famous guy in the whole country. His bro laughs, adding that the school just dropped a celebrity worthy of a standing ovation. Chilling alone in the back, Ha-yeon mentally trashes the joke, calling all her classmates absolute morons. The girl rests her chin on the desk, still pissed that the psycho actually broke into her house yesterday. Rubbing her temples, the student complains her head is pounding with a massive migraine. The memory of Kang Min's face pops up while she tries to figure out how she even blacked out. Hyun-soo's panic screaming loops in her head, leaving her super confused about how the whole boss fight ended. The only random thing she remembers is a weird comment about top-tier Korean appliances. From that, she pieces together the new kid's voice claiming that fridges can actually tank bullets. The dark hallway flashes back in her mind, showing a sketchy silhouette standing in the back. With a low mumble, the mystery figure notices the girl was finally snapping out of it. Slow footsteps echo on the floor as the man asks if she finally woke up from her forced nap. Adjusting his tie, the guy acknowledges the trashed room but tells her not to stress about the mess. The glasses guy reveals his face alongside a cleanup crew, letting her know they're handling the sweep. Pushing up his frames, he coldly mentions they're about to wipe something else from the area, too. His final response guarantees they are going to completely format her short-term memory. Snapping back to homeroom, the girl looks up, sensing that something is seriously glitching in her brain. Night falls, lighting up the lonely street lamps along the empty residential blocks in Seoul. Strolling down the sidewalk, the MC carries a little plastic bag in his hands. The kid sighs heavily, complaining he can't find a single convenience store that actually sells smokes. Super annoyed, he wonders why on earth he had to set his fake age to exactly 17. Still salty, the new kid grumbles that if he had just boosted his stats a bit, he could vape in peace. Suddenly, a super calm voice interrupts his walk, greeting the student on the empty street. The exact same cleanup guy stares at the pro, dropping his full real government name right out of the gate. The MC turns his head, instantly clocking the adult as super sus, while the guy apologizes for the random pop-up. Getting straight to the point, the suit brings up the hack billboard from last night. Reaching out, the man genuinely admits he was massively impressed by the play. He flashes a shiny black card and reveals he's officially with the crime syndicate known as Network. The pro's face stays totally blank while he figures out the target spawned at the exact perfect time. Flashing a low-key smirk, Kang Min confirms the whole chaotic setup with the gang member totally worked. The flashback of the chase and the cringe video just proves the trap was a massive W. Then the MC remembers that leaking the clip farmed an insane amount of clout almost instantly. The agent explains the syndicate is actively scouting problematic talent, which 100% grabs the kid's attention. Holding his grocery bag, the pro agrees sarcastically, flexing that he's got a great radar for viral trends. A hologram pops up in Kang Min's mind, mapping out the whole stealth run to infiltrate the crime ring. The starter strat required joining as a total noob and slowly grinding his way up the ranks. With focused look, the MC admits he'd have to speedrun the whole process super carefully. The org chart makes it obvious that a recruiter has to be pretty high up the ladder, which means this suit guy has a direct line straight to the final boss of the whole faction. The agent just extends his arm, handing over the black card and telling the kid to follow him. Staring at the item, the pro accepts the party invite, focused entirely on getting fast, traveled straight to the leader. The scene hard cuts to the heavy luxury doors of a massive room swinging open. The interior is fully decked out with aesthetic, colorful flower arrangements everywhere. By the window, a blonde woman chilling in just black lingerie is handling a sharp pair of shears. With a clean snip, she cuts a flower off the branch and drops the plant's name out loud. Examining the leaves up close, the blonde mentions the plant is the famous Hawaiian rose. She tosses the scissors aside, cheekily warning that the flower's meaning is definitely rated R. Sitting near a suitcase, the kid listens to her claim the plant symbolizes a top-tier backside. The pro claps back saying that lore is totally fake, but she instantly blames ChatGPT for the cap. Flipping her vibe instantly, the blonde goes dead serious and says there's more important loot to discuss. The scissors clatter against the desk, breaking the dead silence of the fancy room. Without warning, the woman throws the blade straight at him, complaining about his random unannounced spawns. The sharp tool grazes past and sticks right in the wall, showing the host has zero chill. The MC dodges while holding a passport, complaining about the dealer's seriously twisted hobbies. Lunging on the sofa, she asks about his flight to Korea, and the kid just asks to chill there for a sec. Trying to flirt, Kang Min jokes he only naps on people's laps, getting brutally zoned instantly. Dropping the jokes, the blonde glares at the pro, wanting to know the actual reason for his pop. The kid holds up the passport, reminding her the agency always drops fake IDs for their mercs. He tosses the booklet on the coffee table, showing that this time the org did something completely wild. The open page flexes the MC's real photo with his actual government name and birth date. The woman checks the documents carefully while the pro insists this gig is definitely not a troll move. She watches a butterfly land on the flower and swears that from now on, he's dropping the ace of spades. Gamertag. Staring out at the luxury room, the dealer declares he can finally log off the Hitman life and use his real account. The kid stares at the floor looking sus, arguing that this whole total freedom promise is the part that feels like bait. Standing near the red flowers, he points out he's already deleted massive bosses globally and the reward was always just cash. The informant gently touches the petals while the pro questions why erasing one random NPC suddenly buys his permanent freedom. She locks eyes with him, warning that this comes straight from the admins and arguing about it won't change the patch notes. Sliding open a heavy wooden drawer, the woman states she can only drop intel that's been 100% verified. Calmly pulling out the files, the dealer explains they came in via fax and were supposed to be handed over the second he landed. Kang Min holds the papers looking completely shook, muttering that he has no clue what this surprise drop is about. The woman checks her monitor, detailing that the main target actually coded his own crime syndicate from scratch. She keeps explaining the group runs on a super closed, off sleeper cell system, and they only managed to scrape a tiny roster of members. Flashing the pics of the old senior and his goons, his starter quest is to make direct contact with these exact NPCs. The MC scans the list, groaning that they're literally all just students, and jokes about having to play house with them. Gripping the rose tight, the woman compares the crew to a pretty flower that hides its roots buried deep underground. Sitting comfortably, the informant drops the theory the target's guild might have roots dragging straight into the darkest parts of the web. The scene cuts back to the present, lit only by a single street lamp on a dead, quiet block late at night. On the sidewalk, the glasses guy hands over the grocery bag while Kang Min demands to be fast, traveled somewhere else right now. They stare each other down up close, and the kid adds he wants to be taken directly to the enemy boss's spawn point. Silence takes over the alley while the suit calculates the new kid's ridiculously gutsy and high-risk demand. Keeping a poker face, the cleaner straight up denies the request, saying it's literally an impossible task. The kid holds the plastic bag, listening to the man warn him that trying to drop threats isn't going to boost his chances here. Using a burst of raw speed, the MC steps in, clarifying he definitely isn't dropping any threats right now. The recruiter's eyes pop open, showing deep shock at the young kid's absurdly fast and sudden movement. The street stays totally chill and empty, perfectly masking the super tense standoff that just kicked off in the alley. The agent reaches for his waist, noticing he got pickpocketed, and asks angrily what the kid plans to do with a toy blaster. Aiming the piece, Kang Min mocks the target's lack of panic, while the suit laughs at him for packing plastic. Standing in the middle of the dim street, the pro holds his stance and demands to know how the guy realized it was a fake so fast. The new kid's glare gets way heavier and more sus, waiting for the shady recruiter to drop a believable excuse. Flashing an ironic smile, the man argues that a Korean high schooler would literally never carry real hardware. The agent points at the piece, explaining that besides the weight, the skin is obviously a cheap, low-tier paint job. The man steps closer, mentioning the spring noise, but gets cut off by the student saying his answer was way too long. Lowering the weapon, Kang Min switches gears and asks if he can drop just one more specific question for the recruiter. The suited guy takes a solid step toward the kid, asking what his actual endgame was by acting so reckless. Glaring at the MC sideways, the man wants to know what he was really trying to do when he tried to hack the guild's servers. The pro's eyes dart around, clocking the opponent's bizarre and completely silent closing of the gap. Jumping back, startled, the kid complains that move was creepy AF and asks why the guy is trying to whisper in his ear. Rubbing his ear, the new kid points out the man was the one who stalked him to his house, and the recruiter ends up agreeing with the logic. Shown from above in the narrow alley, the cleaner says he'll be waiting at the card's address right at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Standing in the shadows, the guy mutters there's still one massive glitch about this whole weird encounter. The kid turns his back to walk away as he hears the man point out the heavy smell of gunpowder coming from an allegedly fake weapon. Kang Min keeps his face icy, mentally confirming that the target actually picked up on that micro detail. The man's perfectly straight tee just confirms the pro's gut feeling that he's definitely not some low-level underworld NPC. The agent watches the student fade into the dark street, thinking hard about the kid's undeniably broken stats. Once back inside his quiet house, the MC absolutely confirms the suit guy is running a mercenary build. The top-down view shows the bedroom completely pitch black while the kid reviews the whole server log of recent events. The school uniform hangs on the closet door, being the only piece of gear visible in the dark room. Staring at the student outfit, the pro confirms his Phase 1 setup went down exactly as planned. The open briefcase on the desk shows a laptop crunching all the classified data they pulled on network. A wall panel loaded with heavy hardware proves the rumors that the guild uses miners to trigger social chaos across the city. Another mental image shows different jobs, leading him to realize the faction converts all that chaos directly into raw cash. The crazy investigation board, packed with photos and red strings, shows just how insanely complex this crime web is. Alone in the dark, the MC completely trashes the surface level theory, bluntly saying it's pure cap. Cracking a chocolate egg with one hand, he mutters that this whole setup is actually an incredibly lazy and basic fake-out. Eating the candy, Kang Min complains the agency tried to bait him with zero actual effort. Looking at the files, the kid gets offended, wondering if the admins built his undercover profile, thinking he was a total noob. The cracked shell reveals the plastic toy capsule inside, making him realize the guild just uses the students as a disposable front. The scene cuts back to the hotel informant, with the narrator explaining the target is actually a massive underworld syndicate. Sitting on the floor stretching, she states with 100% confidence that this is the true dark side of the notorious network in Korea. The huge room shows the dealer chilling out, concluding they run their servers exactly like the Hitman org itself. The informant smiles, explaining that to survive in such a strict server, they had to use underage accounts to bypass the cops. Looking up, the woman admits that even with the new data means, there's still a ton of hidden lore about the enemy guild. Leaning forward, the dealer gets super serious, claiming they might literally be the Korean port of Bathala. The image of the glasses guy pops up, confirming the absolute god-tier threat level the crime group holds nationwide. Holding her stretch, she notes that how fast they clocked the pros aggro plays was actually mind-blowing. Back in the room, Kang Min totally rejects the praise, muttering dryly that their reaction time wasn't fast at all. The thumbtack at the top of the board highlights the insane difficulty spike of the quest. As the pro remembers, he exhausted every piece of intel. Strings connect random photos and files in a sweaty attempt to map out a solid logic tree. The shadowy silhouette of the faction leader stays completely untouched at the top of the board, even after the all-night grind. Totally boxed in by dead-end clues, the frustrated MC complains he can't even get close to the final boss's spawn. The faceless photo pinned to the wall just has the name, Lee San, scribbled on it, locking in the mystery boss's identity. Pressing down on a pill, Kang Min decides he has to speedrun the next phases to catch up to that leader. With a sharp click, the kid slides a fully loaded mag right into the heavy piece hidden at the bottom of his school bag. Holding the old senior's action figure, the pro remarks he could have farmed way more useful intel if the kid hadn't gotten trucked. The sun shines on a huge modern city building, signaling the start of the MC's next super dangerous quest phase. The hospital TV blasts the breaking news that the downtown billboard got fully hacked last night. The anchor reports the cops are struggling to track the IP, and the patient figures they haven't caught the troll yet. Sue rages in his hospital bed, calling the police absolute bots. Covered in casts, the criminal complains to the doctor that an innocent victim, like him, got wrecked because of that psycho. Messing with the IV bag, the fake doc sarcastically calls the incident fun, then tells the kid to shut up since nothing is funny here. The senior demands to know why the hacker pulled that stunt, calling the guy completely unhinged. Looking terrified, he adds the guy wasn't just some random troll, but was packing actual live hardware. The guy in the lab coat plays dumb, saying it's impossible to carry real pieces outside the US, but the patient screams that he's clueless. Listening to the story, the guy suddenly shows massive interest in the lore drop. Leaning over the bed, the agent confirms the kid truly doesn't know absolutely anything useful. Right then, the agent preps a syringe, sighing because he actually hoped to extract at least some decent intel here. Holding up the loaded needle, he lets the patient know he's officially reached adult-level consequences. The sketchy dark liquid starts flowing down the IV tube, while the fake doc announces the kid's run ends right here. Totally lost on the dialogue, the punk asks what the heck he's talking about. Getting annoyed, Sue complains the guy is testing his patience and asks if he's even a real doctor. The IV bag shows the dark mix draining rapidly down the line. The reality check finally hits the delinquent, and he tries to figure out who the guy actually is. Silence completely takes over the room, lit only by the reflection in the hospital window. The fake doc casually states this whole mess is going to be top-tier clickbait for the media. A tragic game over caused by a massive medical error from a top-tier hospital staff. He quickly confirms that'll definitely be tomorrow's front-page headline. Stuck in bed, the kid stutters in total shock, just repeating the words about game, overs, and meds. The senior tries to sit up in a panic, demanding to know what the hell is happening to him. Right then, handcuffs snap his wrist to the metal bed rail with a loud clank. The criminal freaks out and thrashes around wildly, screaming at the guy to take them off immediately. Terrified by the threat, he calls the intruder a psycho and demands to know why he's getting grieved like this. Without raising his voice, the suit guy casually remembers he hasn't officially dropped his intro yet. The kid pulls against his injured arm until it bleeds, hearing the guy say he belongs to the guild that hired him. Lifts his hand, showing off a small dark, round pin with a geometric logo. Standing in the shadows, the man reveals his true clan, proudly declaring they are part of the Untouchable Network. The lethal debuff from the drug forces red to pour uncontrollably from the patient's nose and mouth. The senior's vision glitches out with a high-pitched ringing as his HP drops to 0 and his system crashes. The kid's arm violently shakes while the agent explains the juice makes your body leak from every single pore. The arm drops lifelessly against the rail, proving that reading the patch notes is nothing compared to seeing it live. The fake doc watches the messy result, concluding that watching it happen IRL is genuinely fascinating. Afternoon traffic rolls through the massive commercial district, baking under the bright sun. The MC remembers the contact promised to be waiting right at this exact spawn point. Checking the time on his phone, he wonders why the zone is totally dead. Min waits chill on the empty sidewalk. Suddenly, an out-of-breath voice calls his name from behind, revealing a young dude sprinting over. The kid in the hoodie listens to the newcomer apologize, confirming he's the network rep. The pro ignores the fancy title and jokes if the name means he's just the IT guy fixing the Wi-Fi. The suit guy tries to excuse the lag with an emergency pop-up, but Kang Min calls out his bad manners, guessing he's a foreigner. The MC asks where the boomer went and throws some heavy side-eyed eye at the weird kid in the hoodie. Rejecting the accusation of running a pyramid scheme, the contact pulls out car keys, admitting his drip is pretty cheap. A crazy expensive white ride pulls up right in front of them, and the recruiter promises the fast travel is going to be VIP. Kang Min's eyes widen, actually impressed by the spawn of such a ridiculously high-tier vehicle. The guy literally licks the hood ornament, bragging that joining the guild was his best life choice, letting him taste real success. The pro ignores the totally unhinged behavior and just hops into the driver's seat, ready to roll out. The massive car tears down the wide city avenues at absolute max speed. In the passenger seat, the suit guy screams his head off, completely hyped on the insane adrenaline rush. He grips the seat, mind blown by the engine's broken stats, but yells in pure panic that this is way too sketchy. The ride merges onto the highway while the guy freaks out over the horrible idea of a high-speed wipeout. Totally mastering the wheel, the kid tells him to chill, swearing nobody gets eliminated from just a tiny scratch. Focused on the road, the new kid coldly warns that crashing at this speed leads to an ending way worse than a standard game over. He drops the gory details that the first hit would launch them, instantly shattering their skulls and spines. The cursed description continues, pointing out their bodies would grind against the asphalt, bleeding out entirely from the insane friction. And to top it off, he explains the car behind them would finish the job by running them over and dragging the remains under the chassis. The recruiter recoils, sweating cold over the weirdly specific horror story, asking if the driver actually studies lethal crash physics for fun. The MC glances at his passenger, confirming he absolutely studies every single meta on how people get wiped out. Staring back at his hands on the wheel, the MC snaps back, claiming the passenger definitely knows a lot more about game overs than he does. The recruiter's mouth drops open slightly, totally stunned for a second, processing the driver's direct disrespect. Recovering his cool, the guy smiles and tries to dodge, saying the chat gives him the creeps, acting like he has no idea what the kid means. Kang Min smirks right back, complaining that the guy's acting isn't nearly as flawless as he thought. The vibe in the car instantly plummets to absolute zero when the pro drops the names, Batala Agency, and the legendary Ace of Spades. The young suit completely freezes in the passenger seat, drowning in sudden, pure terror. Shook to his core by the docks, he just stammers, struggling to process the insane lore drop from the driver. The recruiter's eyes blow wide open in absolute panic, begging the kid to repeat what he just said. Checking the time on his tactical watch, the pro sarcastically asks if he should have dropped his own intro first. With a polite nod, he greets the contact and declares he is exactly the unit they've been sweating to find. Flashing his menacing, blood-red eyes, Kang Min drops the passenger's true identity, calling out the supreme boss himself, Lee San.